Greetings and welcome to Astrology with Agneta. Today I'm going to talk about October of 2024 and observe just some outer planets, but we're also going to talk about what's going on. The world seems to be kind of challenging, weird, beautiful. We can have a lot of words how to express how we feel nowadays. The outer planets, which I want to talk about later on, they are busy. They are subconsciously very strong. So in our own personal little mind, we might want to take the extra walks during October so that we can find some peace and harmony and go within. And I know many of you do. I try to do it myself. There was busy times in the sky. But it's also part of making sure we make the right decisions in the way of looking at, just in general, that it is an important time that we live in. It is an important election that is coming through in the media, in our lives, in our opinions, as we know, November 5th, in the United States of America. It became a very important country. And we don't want to go into politics, but I want to share some things that is astrological observations. So we are looking at October 2nd as an eclipse happens. They come in pair. So the one on September 17th was actually quite important for us to study as astrology. That was in the sign of Pisces and Virgo. They all comes in 108 degrees. Eclipses happens on the ecliptic. So with that, it was part of a new cycle of Pisces, compassion, a water sign. We don't know whether we're coming, but Pisces is a very strong energy for it to be compassionate, helping. It is also confusion and obsessions, addiction. But we also find that we have more to do about making sure we have our reality intact. What do you really want? If you don't vote, if you don't vote on whatever decision in daily life too, it's a way of looking at how you happen to feel around September 17th. And now October 2nd, they come in pair 2.5 weeks later. The one now on October 2nd does have both sun and moon. It is a new moon eclipse. We don't have to begin things at new moons. The full moon sometimes indicates we are ending something. And we all notice it. The Facebook are, floored with all the different moon images, and that's beautiful. I have been into the moon cycles and all those different aspects that comes with the emotions, the subconscious, making sure we take time out. So now on October 2nd is part of the moon's nodes, the phases of the moon and the cycles of the eclipses has been in Aries and Libra. We have one more in March 29th, 2025, that is also in Aries. So Libra, Aries are always opposite. Me versus others has been more prominent to me lately, as everybody thinks they have an answer. And it's not about the election. It's about how people are looking at what is in the future. And if we just take a daily life, the shift that's going on has a lot to do with how we connect to each other. For example, the month of October has Mars in Cancer. Mars in itself wants to belong to Aries. Mars in itself in Cancer might be that there's been a lot of feelings and emotions inside of people, inside of you, and it has to be released as that little crab that has to be coming out of its shell. And when Mars goes retrograde, then it could be even more part of how people are expressing themselves now because he's in Cancer. He doesn't go retrograded until December 6th and then stays in retrograde motion until February, end of February of 2025. So you have this hope for the election. I'm sorry to bring it up again, but it is an important election because there is other outer planets that I will convey to you. So when Mars is retrograded, or in the month of October, he needs to he does well with Pisces, water signs, being allowed to show emotions. We're going into the fall where we are going into, in the northern hemisphere, darker months, darker lights coming through inside of us to make sure we stay in that position to honor that we're still here. As many people, myself including, have noticed or been experienced, people passing. It's a part of not that I know, but it's part of, there's such a strong shift that I think some souls can't handle that or bear it. So there's a move and shift of a new era. And that's when we look at the planet Capricorn. That's when we look at the planet Pluto in Capricorn. So in 2012, Pluto went into Capricorn and have stayed there and will be in Capricorn until it's like he went into Aquarius in January of 2024. But we just have to wait for a little bit because retrograde motion happens often with the outer planets. This is masses. I want to go through some of the outer planets. The mass consciousness is very important for our individual little selves to take care of ourselves even more, because we have sometimes no control over the huge shift that I would like to share, that I have done lectures and workshops. These outer planets are just giving us symbols right now, but they still have to move into 2025, later also 2026. That's when we really know where we are heading in a changing society. So going back to Pluto, he retrograded back into, he was in Aquarius. Yes, it's a great indication of the visionary Aquarius that we all believe in. So when he went retrograded on September 2nd, back into Capricorn, within that movement, he doesn't go direct until October 11th. That is into the Aquarius. In that process of now is 29 degrees, and it will not change and will not change, but will stay 29 degrees in that process of that we call it intense election. Why can't it just be an election? Why does it have to be so much about anger? And it has to be right. And there's so much division right now that we don't know. But the vision, if I would say, then the vision is the new world. Excuse me. There is a new vision because Aquarius has that belief system of the future. What I do want to mention, just in going back to Mars, Mars is a planet that is necessary because it is about cleansing. It's about releasing. Never mind when you got high blood pressure, everybody gets high in just being able to express themselves right in the righteous way. We have the right to stand up for our rights, speak the truth, and nothing but the truth. So that then we would just I like to not talk politics, but I do want to mention that Mars is very important in the month of October, just in general, that we have Trump has Mars. He has a Leo ascendant with Mars on it, quite close to it. In Leo, the leader says, yes, that's what I'm doing. The Vance also has a Leo ascendant with Mars on his ascendant. We also would like to share that I looked at Taylor Swift's chart. I kind of knew it before. I knew she had a lot of Capricorn planet in the second house for finances. Saturn is in there. Saturn loves to be in Capricorn. She is a Sagittarius. She does have an Scorpio ascendant, and Mars is on her ascendant. So we hope, as any presidential election should have extra security around them, and that's where she does have to be careful in that. And she can afford good security. We wish all Mars in Cancer to make sure we stay in that position of collecting our energies and not always bringing it forth in the strong release that sometimes can happen. What I also want to say that Mercury sometimes, because I'm going to go into some of the outer planets that stays retrograded, Mercury retrograded is not until November 26th, sorry. And it stays for a little short time this time. Usually it's 40 days, but this time is just a few days until December 15th of 2025. Going back to Pluto, that's a Plutonic energy. It does hit the United States of Charts of America. It's a whole Pluto return on the dot. That's very crucial for America to be cautious about what we say, how we present our country, because it's a whole return about beginning and endings in that anaretic degree. And perhaps that's why we see unrest here. What do we know? We just read our charts. So then in October, the other big planets that are important is Jupiter. Jupiter goes retrograded on the 17th, October 9th. There is a lot of dates and being busy as we are at times, looking at and keeping a track on our own lives and taking my walks, my meditation. So that then Jupiter is the big guy. He is a busy guy. He's the god of good fortune and prosperity. He's also the teacher. He's actually the guru. He's the teacher that teaches us to make sure we make the right decisions in the subconscious to become conscious. He travels far and he travels fast. Jupiter is very prominent in Kamala Harris' chart. She has a Gemini ascendant, and her karmic node, which is those karmic nodes, which is the eclipses. She's born, she's born during a full moon, not an eclipse. Trump is born during an eclipse, but in her angle of her personality, how we see her as a Gemini, she has that karmic node right on her 24-degree ascendant, which is now Jupiter. When he goes retrograde on the 9th, back and forth, everybody has to then take that time of, not running too fast. In the 10th house, as we mentioned with Trump, has a strong 10th house. He's a Gemini, Sagittarius moon. Yes, he's born during an eclipse. He has Jupiter on the midheaven too, and he's still a little vulnerable because there is a point in his chart that Uranus, another planet, is still very vulnerable. So we do want to not entice any kind of anger from anybody. And of course, nobody's going to listen to astrology, or are we? We just have to make patient about the Jupiter, because when he starts to go into this retrograde motion, I'm going to look when he goes direct, because being that he's retrograded at this point, he went into... he stays in Gemini until February of 2025. So it's still that where we're going with uncertainty, recounts, and all that stuff that everybody predicts. So the outer planets are also very important now. Jupiter and Saturn are more like interpersonal planets, and then you go out. Personal planets are how we think, Mercury, how we think, Mercury, yes, Venus, how we feel, Mars acting. ABC of the simple of astrology. It's a language. So then when we then look at Saturn, which is very important because he went into Pisces in March of 2023, around there. So he stays in one sign for 2.5 years, and he will stay until throughout 2025 and then go out into Aries in 2026. So that now, when Saturn went retrograde, then he does go direct on November 15th. So you still have that retrograde motions about where do we go. And the other planet is retrograded, is Neptune in Pisces. He does go direct December 7th. Neptune is so prominent right now because he's on that 27 29 degrees, moving forward, moving the ocean. He is the ocean. He doesn't even belong to the water. He's the all of it. The visionary, the way that we find that he's pretty upset about how we have treated his home, his water. So we still have that, yes, that he doesn't go out of Pisces until, I have to look at that up too, because they all 2026. Yep, January 2026. I know they're all January 2026, and it's not about despair or prediction. It's opposite. It's for us to be even more patient about the changes that is occurring. And it's just Uranus too, as I mentioned, that's in Taurus. And he goes into, he has been in Taurus, is a 7-year cycle. He goes into the Gemini in January of 2025. So you still have this motion of being still within, trying to catch whatever we can in that process, as it would be. We have a normal full moon in October, of course. That's October 17th, where is in Aries, which is not an eclipse, but it's still about that me and you that are still in those pattern of Aries, Libra, me and you, and stay strong. And the other planets that would affect Aries, Libra is then, of course, Cancer and Capricorn, because they are affected into either Scorpio, either conjunction or opposition. So they follow each other in the tightness of still October being a very crucial month for interaction of love and not hate. Love is Libra, hate could be Aries. I don't say everybody is true for that. We have those possibility of finding different ways of finding the peace within in a disturbing image if we look at the media. And I think we should be informed, but we should also be more informed about how we function, how a safety is embedded in, of course, current situations, personal goals, so that we don't disagree, but agree that we all have choices to make for the future. So when I consolidate the month of October, it's like so much into the motion of not be able to move forward, and we do want to move forward. And so therefore the going within to make sure not just the election, should you decide to vote or not vote, is still the people are more into saying, for example, in 2020, there was Jupiter, Saturn coming together, and they are fighting each other again. Jupiter says, move on. Saturn says, not the right time, because Saturn, no matter what, is the structure and foundation of our beings. It rules even down to our teeth and bones. Structure of any situation, or if your own chart with Pisces, then that is also part of, there could be Gemini is affected, Pisces and Virgo is affected, Sagittarius and Gemini is affected by this Saturn in Pisces, because we need to see what we have accomplished and how we want to go. Follow your dreams. Pisces is very intuitive, and intuition comes to play. So then we have October 22nd. Sun goes into Scorpio. There is the fall. Happy, happy Scorpio. Be nice to us. We try to be nice in the way respectful to Scorpio. Honesty, direct, and always with the right intention. Scorpio has a way to deal with things hidden behind the scene, but now happy, happy birthday to all Scorpios. We end the month of October, of course, with the Halloween. The veil is very thin, and I might just say that it's just something about the desire for everybody to be heard and who has the answer. Astrology is cycles, and I would like to say after 40 years of studying, being a professional astrologer, you can find me on the internet, Agneta Astrology. You can find me on Facebook. I have a webpage. But I think that because the world at large have seen different shifts in collective energy, collective thoughts, collective realities, is that I have seen many other changes, never mind with the COVID, that's a whole different story, is that we had 3 major cycles coming together. Then this is all the outer planets trying to teach us to have faith, to have that, for example, when we close the month of October 31st, then that is also an opportunity, respect tradition. We look scary, but I don't like the word scary because it's so important right now. It's a softer word. It's a strong transition that we're going through. We would like to discuss politics. We would like to know for sure who's going to win this important election, as long as we vote on November 5th. If you don't vote, that's your choice. That's what's going on right now, because there's so much at stake that we do want to go within, have our own answer, put the vote in or not, but also on the daily life, living, embracing that we are still here, and we should be ever so thankful for that part of what we choose, to be able to enjoy one day at a time, and going within does help. So I do wish you a good October. I wish you all peace, love, and happiness, and stay safe. Thank you so much for being with me.